Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steven Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found. And, of course, taped live at the Twitch, twitch.tv/Steven Larson. The last Monday Night Raw before the Royal Rumble this year happened last night. We're going to talk about that in a second. Of course, the Royal Rumble, we're going to be doing our live reactions to that this coming Saturday. Very exciting stuff. It's usually the Rumble traditionally is our favorite WWE pay-per-view because those Rumble matches loaded with surprises, lots of fun stuff this year. This year seems like a pretty intriguing Rumble. I'll be honest with you, man. I'm curious to pick your brain about what we see going into the Rumble, some predictions perhaps for how storylines are going to play out, who we think's going to win, et cetera, et cetera. Quick note, real quick. Got a brand new channel, a brand new YouTube channel called Friendo Club TV. Go check it out. Just type in youtube.com/Friendo Club TV. Today, we posted a video. I actually posted two videos today. One is the latest episode of NXT Steve.
Yes.
And then also Steven Larson's Guide to Surviving a Bear Attack.
Yeah, that was solid stuff.
We talked about this yesterday on the pre-show or post-show, one of the two. It was when did we talk about it? The pre-show?
Post-show.
It was a post-show, yeah.
Being attacked by a bear, yeah.
And we posted up that little bit of it. Was good stuff. It was really funny stuff.
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Basically a PowerPoint presentation and like putting your hands up in the air.
And the wave
like you're about to be attacked by a bear.
Yeah, exactly. But if the bear gets close enough, smack it in the face, nose area.
The Statlander thing. Boop. Just boop it right there. Boop. You'll be fine. Anyways, so that's going down. I don't think you had this in your notes, but I just wanted to mention this really quick. I'm very excited because the best wrestling promotion on the planet, AAA,
yes,
Lucha Libre, had a press conference today where, among the many things they discussed, including new deal with Charlie Jerseys. They probably talked about their sponsorship with Bardal and the Mayo Dip.
Apparently, they got a deal, if I've read it correct, with the NFL.
The NFL, yes,
that's great.
I was like, is this actually the NFL or is this some sort of like bootleg NFL? This is a real NFL,
it's a real deal, man.
They got deals with Marvel, with the NFL. It's nuts. But also, one of the biggest announcements is they've got 3 Triplemanias this year, man. And that's on top of Rey de Reyes, which is coming up February 19th. Yeah, that's exciting.
It's not just 3 Triplemanias this year. So they got 3 Triplemanias, and then they're doing a tournament across all 3. And it's they're doing a tournament. But the thing is, it's a loser advances tournament. And then in the finals, I believe it's a mask versus mask type deal.
Could you repeat what you just said? A loser's advance. This is when I read this. By the way, shout out to Lucha Blog.
Yes,
for this, a tournament where the losers advance. You're desperately trying to get out of this tournament. That's amazing. That is like Inception shit, man. That is brilliant. Crazy. I want out of this tournament. I need to win so I can get out of here.
Exactly.
And the losers keep on just sinking into this well, and at the end of that well. Is losing your mascaras?
Yep. Brilliant.
That's revolutionary.
Brilliant.
That's amazing. We're going to be there every step of the way. It's April 30th, I think mid-June and late October, I think is what it was.
Gotcha.
Brilliant. This is
Can't wait.
Oh, a loser's advantage. How is it we didn't think about this for We Book Raw?
I know.
Fun wrestling.
Well, I think part of it is like the mechanics of the games. If you want to do the tournament all self-contained,
you couldn't. It's
only a winner advance. Otherwise, you have to load up a match, play the match, wait for the next match to load up. It just takes a while.
Is brilliant.
It is.
Desperately trying to get out of this tournament.
It truly is. Oh, we got it right here from Fightful Gaming. Thank you so much, Fightful Gaming.
Thank you, Fightful Gaming. Go subscribe to Fightful.
Yes.
Because we're probably going to talk about them right now.
Yes, that's next here in the notes, talking about Fightful. So we haven't seen Ronda Rousey in WWE ring since she lost the main event of WrestleMania 35, getting pinned by Becky Lynch. But yesterday, Fightful Select. Go subscribe to Fightful Select. Reported WWE has been discussing some sort of involvement for Ronda at this weekend's Royal Rumble. Fightful notes that Rousey has been training of late, and a source told them that it's a matter of when and not if she makes a return to the company. In yesterday's daily update, Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer reported that Rousey is, quote, definitely on the books for WrestleMania. And then PW Insider adds, quote, in speaking to a number of sources who are intricately aware of Rumble plans, we are told it's all on Rousey and whether she wants to pull the trigger on a return, but the company is ready for it and wants it for WrestleMania. Rousey versus Becky Lynch or Charlotte Flair would obviously add some juice to WrestleMania 38 if they go in that direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like,
so okay, so here's the thing. Yeah, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I mean, if I'm gonna tackle the last sentence here first, because I think it's a pretty significant deal for us who watch WWE on a regular basis, on a weekly basis for the last.
You're about to say daily because it feels like that.
I know. Well, it almost is. It almost is. And see the story they've been telling with Becky and Bianca Belair. I understand there's more chapters in the story of Ronda and Becky Lynch that you could tell. I get that. That being said, the amount of energy and effort they've put into telling this Bianca and Becky story, if Bianca is not the one to defeat Becky Lynch for that Raw Women's title, it's going to be incredibly deflating for those of us who watch the product on a regular basis. Because you could have Becky and Ronda not for the title, and it would still be a huge match. I don't feel like that needs the belt. Bianca needs to be the one to beat Becky. Becky has been dodging Bianca for weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
That needs to be the conclusion of the story. I understand that Ronda versus Becky, that's the box office match you want. I get that. But you can't... It's a common thing with WWE. They lay out these stories. They set them up. Something else comes along, and they just drop everything and go with that other thing. And in the process, you potentially... you stop your development of people into future huge mainstream stars. Bianca's on the precipice of that. You know, if she gets this huge win over Becky, that's going to launch her into a whole other level.
Yeah.
And I still feel like, as someone who watches her product, as a fan of Bianca, that's the direction they should go.
Mm-hmm.
It's from a storytelling perspective, it'd be a disappointment. You know?
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. I think there's a couple things that sort of play into the like. Look, I enjoyed for the most part. Some of it was weird. I enjoyed for the most part Ronda's first run in the WWE.
Yeah, there's some good stuff there.
But whenever they do that stuff, it just ties up. And I understand WWE is in win now mode, to use like a sports euphemism. They're trying to do everything they can to be the biggest because they want to sell by the time the next TV deal comes around. I think that's why they brought on Nick Khan. That's my belief anyways. I have nothing to back that up besides just what I see in here. So they want big attraction now. It's why they're doing Brock versus Roman. That's why it probably wouldn't shock me if Brock won the Rumble. Brock is probably going to beat Lashley and then enter the Rumble because he's like, well, Lashley was the biggest and best you had over here. I want Roman still, and the only way I can get there is by winning the Rumble. So he's going to win the Rumble, and if they don't do title versus title, he'll just have to vacate it and move to SmackDown or whatever. So with Ronda, the thing is, would she be back full-time? Because if you're going to be champion, you don't even need to be back full-time. You got to be back at least on like several pay-per-views, you know, like a pay-per-view to pay-per-view basis. I mean, she can't just disappear off TV. And last time, say what you will about Ronda, she committed. She was doing house shows. She was doing everything. I thought that she did a pretty decent job, and she really did commit herself to it. But like, I don't know if she, you know, she's a new mother, and I would think that given that she's not a career WWE person like Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, who I always figured once, you know, they were going to have a kid, she would get into amazing shape, right, like ridiculous shape right after having a kid and come right back, because this has been their thing for decades now, you know, between the two of them anyways. With Ronda, I don't know. And so in that case, what do? You put her in the Rumble and she loses? you put her in the Rumble and you don't do the Becky versus Ronda match that WWE might think to themselves, this is the biggest box office, and this might be the only chance to have that one-on-one match that we've always wanted. I don't know how they would handle it. I mean, WWE, they're like all about the moment now.
Yeah.
The moment now is Ronda wins the Rumble and then goes to WrestleMania. And then I guess maybe Becky beats her so Ronda can go off and do whatever she wants again. But I mean, I don't see any way around, and it would be silly. It would be a silly consolation prize for Bianca to get Charlotte at WrestleMania. Well, and I don't even know how that would work.
I mean,
because then she'd be on SmackDown.
Yeah, if the situation is Ronda is in the Rumble, she wins it, she challenges Becky, but Becky beats her at Mania, well, then you still get Bianca being the one to beat Becky. You still get that. It's not at WrestleMania, which would be a bummer, but you still get that moment. You still get that match,
Yeah, but here's the thing. It could be at WrestleMania still. It would just
it'd be
in L. Well, no, I was going to say it'd be in LA.
The following year. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, that might be the year we get. And on top of that, you have a whole year to reestablish Bianca, as over on SmackDown on Fox on the bigger show. So the problem is I don't know if they actually think this stuff out like that. But Bianca beat Sasha last year. Mm-hmm. That's one of the horsewomen. She already beat Bayley before that. That's another horsewoman. This year, she beat Charlotte after they have kind of that story when Bianca was leaving SmackDown. Mm-hmm. They did that, and Charlotte was ducking her and cheating, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. She beat Charlotte at WrestleMania. That's 3 of the horsewomen. Arguably, that makes next year's Mania Becky versus Bianca then, after Becky's beaten Ronda, after Becky has had an additional year with the title. That, in my opinion, makes that night 1 or even night 2 main event potentially even bigger. The huge question is, does WWE even think that far out?
Or do they have the patience to follow through with a storyline that
or
takes
do they
that
have
much
the
time?
patience?
Here's another idea. So Charlotte, she's champion, also in Rumble. She says if she wins, she'll pick her opponent. Well, if you have a couple backstage segments during the Rumble where Ronda's there, it's like, hi, I'm visiting. She's asked, are you going to come back when we see you at WrestleMania? Oh, I don't know. We'll see how things play out. Mm-hmm. You do the bit where it seems like Naomi wins the Rumble. Sonya comes out, overturns that. Charlotte gets the win. And then Charlotte's like, I know who I want for the Rumble or for Mania. Mm-hmm. I want Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
And then you could have the Sonya-Naomi story carry through to Mania. They have their match there. I know it's supposed to have a match on SmackDown. That's not going down with any sort of satisfying finish.
Yeah.
So at Mania, you have that match, Naomi and Sonya. And after Naomi wins that, then that can launch her up into the title picture, whether it be against Charlotte or Ronda. That in my mind, that if they want Ronda and Charlotte, that's like the easiest way to motivate that match.
Yeah.
Charlotte wins the Rumble. She says, I want Ronda. Said she's here.
Again, it's the kind of thing where I think I just think that WWE more than anything would want Becky versus Ronda, and then you have to work around that. You have to start figuring out, okay, well, how do we do that and then do this? It's kind of like Brock versus Roman. How do you get Brock versus Roman? But it's not title versus title because you need. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do that. We can talk about this now, I guess, if you want, because last night on Raw we had the weigh-in with Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. That match is going down at the Rumble right now. Look, and I'm going to say this real quick. I don't consider this to be a spoiler, but I'm going to talk about these betting odds. I did a WrestleJuice video on this not long ago. Generally speaking, with the betting odds leading into the Rumble, it is rare that the top guy in the betting odds actually wins the thing. Usually it's the second or third place guy. So take that with take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt. Brock is currently the favorite to win, but he's tied, at least as of yesterday, with Big E. I think that Brock versus Roman is the match, and I think Brock is still going to beat Bobby Lashley. But to be honest, it kind of bothers me how they're building this, though, that Brock is being so dismissive of Bobby Lashley, because it makes Bobby look like a chump. And Bobby hasn't been able to do anything he hasn't been able to get the heat, I guess is the term, or whatever. He hasn't been able to show that this, all he has is MVP, talking him up and Brock just laughing it off. This was the go home to show that, hey, Brock shouldn't be looking past Bobby. I'm not huge on how they've built this, man. I'm really looking forward to this match, but I'm not huge on how they built this.
Yeah, I know. I mean, unless the outcome is that Lashley cleanly beats Brock Lesnar.
Is that here's the thing. Even if Lashley beats him with interference from the Usos, I guess that would be proving a point because the win is a win.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it'd be a situation with interference from the Usos. I wonder if they would do a thing where Heyman accidentally cost Brock the match. And Lashley gets the win. And therefore, that's how Lashley earns Brock's respect or something like that.
Yeah. I just don't know if they're going to have Brock stumble his way into this match where they're like, oh, now Brock's desperate.
Well, here's the thing. Let's assume, because I agree with you. I have a hard time believing Brock's going to eat any pins on the way to Mania.
Yeah.
So let's look at it. Brock wins at the Rumble, retains there. So then you have Elimination Chamber next month.
Yeah.
I mean, even in a 5-on-1 scenario, potentially, they're gonna have Brock lose, get pinned, get eliminated from the Elimination Chamber. I mean, I guess in some sense it's a bit more protected. You could have 5 people hit their finish on him. Still, don't feel like he's taking an L. Let's take a quick break here to get word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Several years ago, I was dealing with severe anxiety, and I learned how important it was to talk to a therapist, but I also learned that it can be really difficult to find the right person to talk to. Today, BetterHelp is providing a safe, convenient, and private online environment where your needs will be assessed and you'll be matched with your own licensed personal therapist.
BetterHelp isn't a crisis line, nor is it self-help. It's professional counseling done securely online, and you don't have to limit yourself to counselors in your area. BetterHelp services are available worldwide, so you can find the expertise you need regardless of location.
BetterHelp is dedicated to facilitating great therapeutic matches, all without having to sit in another uncomfortable waiting room. You can send your counselor messages whenever you want, or you can schedule regular phone or video sessions. And BetterHelp has made it free and easy to change therapists if needed.
We want you to start living a happier life today. As a Going In Raw listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at BetterHelp.com/raw. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health.
Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw.
You see him here. This is. I have no idea if this is how it's going to play out, but you're trying to piece this stuff together. No title versus title, unless they do title versus title, in which case it's easy.
Yeah.
No title versus title. Brock versus Roman at the Rumble for probably the Universal title. The way that works is Brock wins against Bobby Lashley. Mm-hmm. He enters himself into the Rumble. He wins the Rumble, vacates the title to go face off against Roman. And then they put the title up. They would have
to do something like what would be the motivation in vacating the title?
The necessity you have to choose. You either take on Roman.
Why? He won the Rumble. He gets to choose the champion he faces. Doesn't matter if he's champion or not. I mean, if that's the case, if Charlotte wins the Rumble this year, she should have to vacate the title as well.
Yeah, I don't know. It's WWE to do weird shit like that. They gotta have their. If
Brock says
if you don't do title versus title, how are you going to get there?
Because another thing, if you have Brock vacate the title, well, then you're saying this title is meaningful compared to that title.
Yeah, that's what they said. They've said that for years.
I know they have, but I don't think they can do it in such blunt terms. I know Roman referred to Drew as the B champion. I get that, but that's
even worse than that. Roman beat Big E clean with no interference.
But if you have Brock essentially toss the WWE title in the garbage can to go after the Universal title, that's burying the WWE title. I don't think they would do that. They shouldn't do that.
I'm not saying they should. I don't know. I'm trying to get there. Okay, then you tell me, how do you get there? How do you get no title versus title, no Brock losing, Brock versus Roman at Mania?
This is what you could do. He doesn't vacate. They do something like this where he's not an official entrant in the Rumble. He destroys somebody to get in there. Just annihilates them. Okay. Wins the Rumble, and Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville say, congratulations on winning the Rumble. However, due to your actions to get in the Rumble, we're going to have to punish you in some way, we're going to strip you of your belt.
Okay. All right. We have both terrible ideas, evidently.
They've kind of written themselves into a corner here unless they do title versus title.
I think, honestly, they should do title versus title.
I know.
They really should. Because that is the biggest match. That's huge. That is absolutely huge.
Because, Brock shouldn't vacate.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be taking losses.
Yeah.
Unless it's just the only reason I can think he would take a loss or way it would make sense if it's a situation where Heyman, again, accidentally costs him the match.
Yeah, no, you can write a loss any number of ways, but a loss is a loss. Like you see that big monster either passing out to the Hurt Lock, which, given that he keeps on talking about the Hurt Lock, if he does lose in weird fashion, it's going to be him like getting somehow stumbling into a Hurt Lock, whether it's because Heyman accidentally, quote unquote, screws him over. I don't know. That's a good point. Mr. Dope says if title versus title happens, what does the Rumble winner do? When in that case, it would be Brock. Brock would be the winner of the Rumble, and he'd say, "Hey, let's see." Man, he already teased title versus title. That's why I kind of feel like title versus title might happen, because he teased it before. You're already main eventing with the Raw Women's title on night one.
I mean, the only reason we're kind of dispelling the notion of title versus title is that I think it was Meltzer said title versus title isn't the plan. Plans changed,
or Alvarez or some.
Yeah. Someone at Wrestling Observer mentioned that, and you know, I'm sure they have their sources, but it's not like they've been accurate 100% of the time.
No, absolutely not. And no, I agree. Like, that's the only hesitation I have. If it wasn't for them saying that, you know, I'd probably be all in on, oh yeah, they're totally doing this.
Yeah.
But you know, they're right a bunch too. And sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
So it is sort of a grain of salt sometimes. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Who's your right now? Who's your pick to win the Rumble?
It's probably Brock. I would imagine Brock versus Lashley is probably going to open the show. And then we'll get some clarification there as far as, like, if Brock somehow loses, then for sure, 1,000% he's winning the Rumble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
If he wins, probably still a pretty good chance he's going to win the Rumble.
Yeah. You know who they should have win the Rumble? Randy Orton. That guy is the most over person in the company right now. It's ridiculous. And do you see how fired up he is? He is so. Last night, when him just challenging Chad Gable to that match, he was so hyped up. He looks legitimately like a kid in a candy shop when he's doing this Riddle stuff and the Alpha Academy stuff. And he looks like he is so happy to be having matches with Chad Gable.
Yep.
Who they just have terrific chemistry.
They do. That match last night was a lot of fun. We can get into our general thoughts on Raw now, I suppose.
Yeah, sure.
I watched the first 2 hours last night, and it followed the playbook of how I like to enjoy my wrestling. You have talking bits to motivate matches, and you let the matches happen. And you give them time, and with the level of talent WWE right now, if you give people time to put on good matches, guess what? Good matches happen. And that's what we saw. We had Orton versus Gable. We had Owens versus Damian Priest, which was a good match up until the crap finish. And then you had AJ and Austin Theory.
I'll even say this about the Owens Priest stuff. At least we got that bit afterwards with Sonya Deville saying, "Hey, at least the ending to that led to a story beat that is going to make things interesting." Probably Kevin Owens coming out of whatever next big thing they do with that U.S. title. That wouldn't shock me at all, because Damian Priest, that shit isn't working. It's not, and everybody can tell. And Kevin Owens is doing amazing work.
Yeah, I know. The Damian Priest thing, the change of character just hurt him a ton.
It really did. It's so goofy. But yeah, you had that Bianca Zelina match. That was really pretty good. You had, again, a match, six woman tag action, a match, and that motivates some story. I thought that was good. The spelling bee I thought was good. And you know what? What the spelling bee ended with? A match, a wrestling match. You know,
the first 2 hours is how you should book a Raw. The last hour is a bit more talky. But the first 2 hours, yeah. If Raw was like this every week, you have talking bits to motivate matches, and then maybe one longer talky bit for your A story. I'm generally fine with that formula.
What did the third hour begin with? Was it the
started
Becky
with the Becky Dewdrop side-by-side interview, which was fine.
Even that wasn't that bad. I thought that Dewdrop was really, really good in that side-by-side.
In that last hour, we had one match.
We had the Mysterios
versus
the Street Profits.
And that was it.
You know what, though, dude? I'll be honest with you. I really dug the Maurice birthday celebration. I thought Edge and Beth Phoenix, they look like goddamn superheroes. They look so fucking badass when they come out in those like all black and all duded up and stuff. I think that this match is going to be a ton of fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought that shit, and Beth just wrecking security guards.
That was great.
I thought that was a pretty decent bit, but yeah, I guess so. There was like one match in that last hour. Boy, what a length! Did they do the SmackDown recap during that that third hour?
They did.
Okay, that's always forever. That always takes forever.
Because like in the first hour, there were 3 matches. In the second hour, there was 1, 2. There were only 2 matches, but both of them were pretty long. AJ in Theory was like 17, 18 minutes, and then Orton Gable was pretty long too.
That AJ Austin Theory match was nuts.
That was like a G1
really
match.
Good match. I know, right? I love Austin Theory, new Bullet Club hunter. Anyways, it kicked off with that weigh-in. Lashley comes out first. Graves is about to announce Brock. Heyman interrupts, says, I hate when people steal my shtick when I do it better. And he introduces Brock. Brock's got a flannel that's up on the WWE shop, or at least a similar one with his logo on it. And he's got a cowboy hat. He looked like $1 million coming out. Of course, Corey Graves takes issue with that. Says, I'm not sure that's appropriate attire for weigh-in. I don't know what kind of temerity Corey Graves has telling Brock Lesnar he ain't dressed for the occasion.
Oh, well, I know. I mean, I understand.
Corey going to try to eliminate Brock from the Rumble?
I don't know. Maybe he's going to do a run-in from commentary. Usually you see these weigh-ins for MMA fights and boxing matches, and then like the competitors are wearing like shorts.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So he says, I'm not sure if that's appropriate.
Part of it, though, so we get disappointed. Part of it, though, is they wear as little as possible because they want to make sure they get an underweight.
None of this matters.
Yeah, exactly. There's no upper weight limit for this match.
This one doesn't matter.
They could both weigh 700 pounds. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, doesn't matter. So what's the point? It's just one of these PR things. So Brock says, Mr. Graves, do you want me to get naked for you? He's okay. How about we just carry on? So Lashley's the first. I don't know what they're feeding Brock and catering, but he's loving being out there these days. It's great. Probably tons of cash. So Lashley's the first step on the scale. He weighs in at 273 pounds, an MVP with no confidence in his voice whatsoever. Tries his damnedest to put over Bobby Lashley, but he knows that his dude's just getting clowned here.
Yeah.
He calls him closer to a god than a man. Brock's going to have to contend with him in the Rumble. The only weight he's going to add to himself after the Rumble is the weight of the WWE Championship. Brock is the next to weigh in. Corey Graves says, once again, Mr. Lesnar, maybe you should, remove some of the clothing. And so Brock just takes off his hat. Gives it to Heyman. Yeah. He weighs in at 286 pounds, and Lashley's pissed off. He says, do you think this is funny? You're acting like a fool because you're losing the WWE title. He says, mark my words, this is going to be the shortest title run of your career. And that's not a prediction. That's a spoiler. And Brock says, ooh, who's the comedian now, Lashley? And then he says, hey, Paul, on Sunday morning, hot off the press, Lashley beats Lesnar, puts him in the hurt lock. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new champ, a new heavyweight champion of the world. Bobby who? And then Bobby can't say anything.
I know. So, yeah, Brock and David just leave.
Yeah.
Just leave. After that, we had Bianca Belair versus Queen Zelina. Before the match, Zelina had a promo. She says the Rumble is hers. It's only fitting that the Queen is victorious and ascends to her throne at WrestleMania. Again, fun match.
Yeah, the rad finish here with that Code Red attempt, and Bianca counters it to the KOD.
It was great. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
It was really good stuff.
Then we got Kevin Owens' interview. He's asked about handing Damian Priest his first pinfall loss, but having to do it while feigning injury. And Kevin Owens says, by feigning injury, what do you say? You saying I'm lying? Have you ever been in the ring Your opinion is moot. I didn't feign an injury. I fought through the pain. He tells Kevin Patrick to reassure. What does it say in the back here? And he says,
just keep fighting.
Yeah, and I just kept fighting through the pain. Tonight, I'm going to get the U.S. title. I get this U.S. title match because of that. I'm just going to
just keep fighting
until I'm the U.S. champion.
Yeah, that was good stuff. Brand new contract will work wonders for a person's motivation. That's what it feels like.
I also feel like doing something that feels like it's of some importance is enough to motivate somebody. You know, if you're,
it seems like it's probably a no-brainer that they would hold off on like pulling any triggers on Kevin Owens until he's re-signed that contract. So one sort of leads into the other, I suspect.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And then we had the U.S. title match next. Damian Priest, the champion, versus Kevin Owens. Again, a really fun match. However, though, it just got to a point where the Damian comes out.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, it wasn't even that huge of a deal.
It was not motivated.
Not
in
really.
The least.
So Owens rolls him up because a handful of tights. That gets a 2, and he's looking for a stunner. And Priest escapes and hits a clothesline. Well, I guess just rolling him up with a handful of tights now is enough to set him off.
I guess so.
Before it was like a super blatant violation of the rules, or a sucker punch, or a sneak attack, or some sign of disrespect.
Yeah, like a very specific triggering catalyst moment. It was like Ilya getting slapped on the back or chopped on the back.
Yeah.
In this case, it was like, I tried to roll him up with a handful of tights.
It was just like the most pedestrian roll up with a handful of tights. Something you see like
and then
once
there was like
show.
2 more normal moves, and then he snaps. It was weird.
And so he just starts laying into Kevin Owens in the corner. The ref tries a couple times to separate Priest from Owens. Priest just keeps attacking him. Eventually calls for the bell, DQ.
Yeah. And then later on, we'll just get to this right now because there's like a ton of stuff.
Yes.
As this next bit happened during the 6-man, as it pertains to Damian Priest. A little bit later, he was Sonya was yelling at him. Sonya Deville was yelling at him in the hallway, saying, "Hey, you need to figure this out."
Mm-hmm.
She says, "You're out of control. You could be, if you do this kind of stuff again, you could be suspended, fined, maybe even worse. Get it under control." So I'm totally fine with that finish. We've seen it before. As long as you have those consequences later on to say, okay, the story's about to turn now. Where is this going to go? And I'm assuming it's going to lead to Kevin Owens probably picking up that U.S. title, and maybe not. I mean, maybe Damian Priest will have he'll figure out how to tame the beast. He'll become Smart Hulk or something.
Well, I kind of feel like he needs to lose the belt first, and then
to figure it out.
He kind of has to hit rock bottom first. In that respect.
I don't really care how he figures it out. I want him to lose that belt because I want Kevin Owens to be the U.S. champion.
Yeah, and also maybe they'll realize, hey, this Damian Priest thing isn't working now. He learns how to calm the Damian within him, and we just get cool guy, maybe vampire Damian Priest back, because that was actually working. That was working really well for him.
Yeah, this is good. Mr. Sinister says they'll probably have segments of Priest going to therapy. Once Alexa's done with her journey, Priest goes there. And he's like, here, just, take these meds right here or something.
Oh, my goodness. So then we had a series of promos from Women's Rumble participants in advance of a 6-woman tag match. First, we had Rhea Ripley. She talks about having a score to settle with Nikki ASH, but right now her mind is focused on the Rumble. She's going to win at any cost, and says she's going to be an absolute nightmare after she wins the Rumble and moves on to WrestleMania.
Yeah, after this, my favorite one of these, because there's 3 of them, was Dana Brooke. She seems so sincere, and I like her reasoning here. She said, this is going to be my year because I'm the 24/7 title, so I have to be ready anytime, any place, anywhere, which is the redundancy. And she says she's going to continue riding that wave, and she's going to win the Rumble. She has no chance whatsoever, but I really like this promo because it's all full of positive.
It is very positive. Next, we had Liv Morgan. Says, we've seen her transform from girl living her dream to girl who took the Raw Women's Champ to her limit, nearly became champion at the Rumble. There won't be any nearly. I'm going to win the Rumble, and I'm going to go to WrestleMania and be the new Women's Champ. And then, we had that bit with Sonya and Damian Priest shoehorned in right there. It seemed like a weird cut, too.
I kind of liked it, though. Because it's like, give it some time. He's mulling over stuff. You got these silly promos right here, which I never like these things. And then you get Damian Priest. Oh, meanwhile, it's kind of cool. It's like you always say, it's like one living, breathing organism, this show. I kind of like that. I'm all right with it.
Then we had the participants for the 6-woman tag match come to the ring. Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Dana Brooke versus Carmella, Tamina, and Nikki ASH. But before we get to the match, we had more promos. This time,
Yeah.
We had Tamina. She talks about how I've been here too long. Mania main event is mine. We had Carmella. She says, with a face like this, who would want to throw her the top rope? She says after she wins the Rumble, she's going to be the most beautiful woman at WrestleMania. And then Nikki was next. Says, heroes sometimes have to do messy things regular people won't. Adversity has made me stronger, and that's how I'll win the Rumble and go on to make WrestleMania super.
Did she look lost during some of this promo, or is it like in character that she's like becoming kind of?
I mean,
crazy?
either is a viable explanation.
We'll give her the benefit of the doubt and say that it's in character. After that, we had the actual match.
Yeah,
finally, we actually have a match. And this is great because Carmella was being all sorts of disrespectful to Rhea, and so Rhea throws her down, like does a double leg takedown. Wraps her up in that reverse cloverleaf, just muscles her up.
Yeah.
And Carmella's forced to tap out there. Rhea puts her hand up, and Nikki lays her out from behind and then runs off. And then we had the Alpha Academy RK Bro Academic Challenge Round 1. This is going to be a triad of events. And for those of you here in Ohio who don't have vocabulary, a nice, well-rounded vocabulary, triad means three.
Means three. Means three. In this case, 3 events. Series is 3. So Kevin Patrick kind of explains the rules, and then Gable cuts him off and says, hold on, you explained it wrong. Let me explain tonight's events so that, quote, even the mindless morons of Ohio can comprehend. Then he talks about tonight as the first of the triad of events over the coming weeks. And so this triad will prove that not only am I an Olympian, but I'm also a genius with the master's degree, which I got with an immaculate 4.0 GPA. It says we're also going to prove that Otis has the brawn and the brain to decimate RK Bro into mental submission. He tells Otis, I'm proud of you. Lastly, I'm also going to announce that we're entering the Rumble, and one of us is winning, and the Alpha Academy be headlining WrestleMania.
Kevin Patrick then introduces RK Bro. They come out to the ring. Kevin says tonight's winner of the spelling bee gets to choose next week's challenge. Otis is up first. His word is Emmental. And Otis asks, what's the definition? He's a type of cheese. And Otis is like, oh, okay, I know what that is. He actually spells it incorrect because he missed the A, but they give it to him. Maybe he just ran through it a little bit.
They did until after the segment, and they said both members of Alpha Academy got their words wrong.
Oh, did they go back? They retcon that. Okay. Smart move.
So Riddle is next, and his word is calibration. And Riddle's asking for a definition. Saying, can use it with letters.
Calibration?
Yeah. Can you give it to me in letters, he said. Kevin
funny.
Patrick is like, no. And then the light bulb goes off in Riddle's head. Says, oh, like when I have to calibrate my scale when I'm weighing things. And they cut to Orton.
He legit laughs. Laughing. God, I love that. I love that so much. So Riddle spells it completely correct. He gets it right. Gable's up next. Disillusion is his word. Now, it was smart they got Kevin because he's got, I guess it's an Irish accent. So Gable thinks it's disillusion. First he says, let me get the definition. And Kevin starts to give you the definition of disillusion, but Gable stops him and gives his own definition of disillusion.
And Kevin's like, hold on, that's not, but in his hubris.
Gable stops, He cuts him off and says, no, I got it. And he spells disillusion instead of disillusion.
Yeah.
And so he gets it wrong. Gable was on fire.
Yeah, he was.
He's doing so good these days.
He really is.
So he says, no, I spelled the right word. You said it wrong. And Orton gets up as Gable protests, and he says, Gable, take a freaking seat. And he tells Kevin to give him his word for the win. And he says, this is a word that is widely misspelled in the English vocabulary. It's dumbbell. Randy Orton spells it correctly. Make sure to get both B's in there. And RK Bro get the win. Gable loses his shit. He says your partner's a dumbbell. And both Orton and Riddle are highly offended at that.
Yeah.
Orton tells him to shut his mouth. And Orton is on fire right now.
Yeah, he really is.
Challenges Gable to a match. He says, obviously, you're the most unintelligent man in the ring, so I'm going to spell out how I'm going to beat you with the 3 most dangerous letters in sports entertainment, RKO.
It's pretty great. And then we had that match next. This match was fantastic.
It really was.
These two guys have great chemistry. So towards the end, Riddle tries to take out Otis while Randy's setting up for an RKO. Instead, he runs right into like an overhead suplex. Randy looks for an RKO. Gable evades that, hits a backslide. Orton kicks out, hits a power slam. Orton's setting up for a punt, and the Gable smooth counters with an ankle lock. And then Riddle goes and gets his scooter from ringside, starts beating the heck out of Otis with it, which probably really sucked.
Shit out of him.
Which probably really sucked. He threw it at him.
Yeah.
So then Orton reverses the ankle lock in the process, sends Gable to the corner. Gable rebounds out of the corner. RKO. Orton gets the win. Riddle gets in the mic, congratulates Randy, says, hey, we're going to go do an old school academic challenge next. Let's take it to gym class. A good old-fashioned scooter race.
And Otis, once again, looks pretty worried.
Yeah.
Seeing Otis on a scooter is going to be pretty damn funny. Yeah. But I suspect, once again, well, if this is the best out of 3, I would suspect RK Bro is going to lose this one.
Yeah, it seems like, yeah, that would be the case.
Yeah. After that, we have Alexa Bliss therapy session number 3. Hopefully, this is a triad, and this is going to be the end of it, but I suspect it's not.
Yeah.
She talks about, I won't even go over, she just talks about Lily being a little kid, being bullied, and Lily was around. The idea is Alexa Bliss, even as a child, would black out and beat up kids or something. After that,
from that moment on, Lily was like always by her side.
Yeah. After that, we have Austin in Austin Theory in Vince's office. You must be feeling pretty good of late with all the selfies you're taking. And Austin's like, yeah, it felt pretty good destroying Finn Balor. And, this Saturday it's the Rumble. I'm going to win this. Then I'm going to get to face the champion of my choosing at WrestleMania. And Vince is like, oh, yeah, sounds like you got it all figured out. So Austin Theory says, Vince, I was wondering, maybe I can get one of the later numbers in the Rumble, Maybe you can give me like a 24 or like 25, maybe even like a 28 or 29. And Vince is like, well, why do you think I have any influence over that? And Theory, he says, you should be considered with your opponent tonight, AJ Styles. And Theory's like, oh, you mean former WWE champion, former U.S. champion, former Intercontinental champion? He's like, that's right, AJ Styles. And he's like, okay, all right, good. That sounds good. So he gets up and Vince says, hold on, you forgot this. And he gives him his phone. You bring back a really good selfie. It's just weird. It's just weird shit, man.
It is really
Austin Theory he's doing really good. Within the context of how weird this shit is,
he's doing the best. He's doing the best anybody could probably do in this situation. I know. We get a Veer is coming video package.
Yes, he's still coming.
And
maybe it was because last night on NXT, we had a loser leaves town match, Gargano versus Veer. Veer lost that, so
oh wow, maybe it's time for him to make his way to Raw.
Rumble confirmed.
Maybe. And then we had AJ Styles versus Austin Theory. This was a hell of a match.
Oh my gosh,
hell of a match. This could easily be a pay-per-view match.
AJ Styles is just doing amazing work these days. That Grayson Waller match. Oh my goodness.
I know. He's reminding us all that he's one of the best to ever do it. So Theory's working over his back after hitting a pretty huge backbreaker. It was like a spinning tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. Later on, Theory drop kicks AJ off the top rope to the floor. The finish saw Theory hitting a rolling backbreaker. Rolling blockbuster against Matu. Looking for a superplex. AJ escapes that. He trips Theory off the top rope. Theory then looks for a powerbomb. AJ escapes, hits a Pele kick, looking for a Styles clash. Theory counters into an ATL attempt. AJ counters that into a calf crusher. Theory gets the bottom rope. So AJ's looking for phenomenal form. And as he's going up for the springboard, Theory shakes the rope, so AJ tumbles to the mat. Theory covers him, but he puts his feet on the top ropes, like the easiest. Way up there. Yeah, it's like totally easy for the ref to see it. So he has to break that up. Theory looks for ATL near the ropes. AJ Styles essentially wraps his legs around the ropes to block it, punches Theory, and then hits phenomenal form after that to get the win. But man, it's really good stuff. Really good stuff.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty terrific match. White Brownie here in the chat has the Raw ratings 1.7 million, but a 0.46 in the demo. That's a decently strong.
Yeah, it's up. I think the audience number's up from last week.
It was like 1.6 last week.
I think so. Yeah. I think the demo number's up too.
Yeah. We had a Becky and Doudrop side-by-side interview. Usually these are like if I'm given the option as to how do you want to build a match, well, this is going to be like probably this and like a tug of war for the title, or like the last on the list of things. That being said, this wasn't that long, and Doudrop did a pretty good job here, as well as can be expected, better than could be expected. And then I like that it ended with her just getting up and going and attacking Becky. I don't know if we really need to go through like the beats by beat here.
It was just pretty much trash talk back and forth. It was again Becky saying you should. It's essentially you got to thank me for getting you this match at all. For for one thing, I blazed the trail that brought you to WWE, but also I, cost Bianca the match, so you got the win. So you should be thanking me. Show some gratitude. Doudrop says, "I'll show you some gratitude when you show me some respect." And then, at a certain point, Doudrop is like, all right, enough of this. Becky says, before me, you were just a name to fill out the roster. And Doudrop says, all right, I don't need to hear any more of this. She gets up, and Becky keeps on talking. Doudrop comes into Becky's interview set, and they just start fighting.
After that, we had a Mysterio's interview. This was actually really sweet. It was the Ray and Dom. I like this little sort of competition between them about going into the Rumble. So Ray is asked about being on the cover to 2K22. Ray says it's a great moment. He says most superstars spend their career chasing achievements. Being on the cover of a game is no different. He says, but one thing that'll make me prouder would be the day I get to see Dom on the cover. And Dom says, I used to play these games as a kid, like 5 years ago. He says, and I know I've got to create my own legacy to get on a video game cover. That starts on Saturday when I win the Rumble. And Ray's like, well, awkward laugh. Says, that would mean you'd have to toss your dad out of the ring. You're not going to do that, right? And Dom says, I don't know, man. After the stunt you pulled last week, you're going to be the first to go. And Ray says, you're playing, right? And Dom just walks away.
I know.
And Ray says, he's just playing, right? He's so silly.
I know. That was pretty funny. That was pretty funny.
It was a good moment.
It was a good moment. Did we decide what the over-under was on people getting tossed to the top rope last night? Was it 6.5?
Oh, you said it would be. It was 6.5 because you said it'd be 7.
I was one off. I was one off because everybody in this match plus the Dirty Dogs all got tossed over the top rope in this whole this segment. So the Street Profits versus Mysterios. Really fun match. Ford catches a 619 from Ray and then powers them up to do something. Ray hits him with the victory roll to get the win.
Yeah.
And so the Mysterios are in the ring celebrating. Dom, from behind, tries to dump Ray over the top rope, but Ray reverses that to kind of like a Rana, so Dom gets sent to the floor. They're laughing about that. Montez then dumps Ray over the top. Then Dawkins dumps Ford over the top.
That was good, yeah.
He's like, I had to do it. I just had to do it.
He's laughing about it.
Dirty Dogs hit the ring. They dump Dawkins out. So everybody gets in. There's a huge brawl that breaks out, and the Mysterios, the Profits, they dump the Dirty Dogs out of the ring.
Nobody thought it was cute when the Dirty Dogs did it.
No.
Everybody else was like, you got me.
This is just for the spirit of competition. Dirty Dogs do it.
Dirty Dogs come in. They're like, fuck you.
Assholes.
Right. So let's get back up a second here. Ray and Dom. Yeah. Either Dom's going to dump Ray out in the Rumble, or they're both going to go out together. Which do you think is more likely to happen?
I mean, given the build-up to this, it would make sense for Dom to dump Ray out. But at the same time, I don't know. It's like they constantly kind of tease about them breaking up. But based on what they've said and based on how they've done it so far, I'm kind of hard-pressed to believe it's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just as likely that they're kind of jockeying for position, and doing so, they both get eliminated by somebody else.
I think that's probably the more likely situation. After that, we had a Seth Rollins interview. This is pretty brief. He says, it sounds good that I'm facing Roman one-on-one. It was never about the Usos. It was about Roman and Seth. He says, historically speaking, I like my odds. He says, Roman knows that I've got his number. He says, I like people thinking highly of me, but he's the only one who can put him in his place. So I'll take one more trip to SmackDown this Friday because unlike Roman, I like to deliver my messages in person.
Oof. And then we got our main event segment, which was Maurice's birthday extravaganza. Miz comes out first. He introduces Maurice. She comes to the ring, and Miz is really eager for her to open her first gift. So she does, and it's a portrait of Miz as Prince Charming, and Maurice as a princess. And she's
like a paint your life type situation.
Maybe. So she's like, "Oh, this is the best gift you ever got me. Better than the $500,000 ring." And Miz talks about how, yes, I've spared no expense. I even got top of the line security. There'll be no Beth and no Edge tonight. So Maurice wants to open another gift. She does. It's some sort of, I don't even know what it is. Almost like a jewelry box, kind of, but it's all sparkly and it says no limit on there.
I was like, the first thing that sprang to mind, of course, is No Limit Soldiers.
Master P, yeah.
Master P, yeah.
Yeah. And I think Corey Graves mentioned Master P as well.
Oh, did he?
I think so.
Corey's funny.
So then she's like, "What's in this huge box over here? I'll open this one." And Miz says, I don't know how that got in here. I thought maybe you got me a gift. And I like how she didn't say no. She just said, "It's my birthday."
Yeah.
And Miz is like, "You didn't send this here. I didn't bring this here. Then who brought it here?" He calls in security to open the gift. And of course, it's all subterfuge. Security guy goes in there, takes the paper off, and it's just like an empty box, but it's got a table, and on top of that table is the brick that Maurice used to attack Beth last week, and they showed a recap of that. And so Miz says, "It's time for everybody to stand up and sing happy birthday to Maurice." He leads a count to 3, and then he sings an absolutely horrible rendition of happy birthday. That's interrupted by Edge and Beth.
I don't know why he was so aggressive with like saying, "Open your gift." Okay, open your second gift.
Yeah, he was very aggressive.
Very Costanza-esque, yeah.
So then Edge tells Miz and Maurice, "You two have been real clever this whole time. None of that's going to help you this weekend." I said, "You got a pissed off Edge and a pissed off Radar Superstar," I think he said, a pissed off Glamazon.
Yeah.
And they storm the ring. They take out security while Miz and Maurice, they escape to the opposite side of the ring. And so Edge and Beth are kind of clearing out some of the stuff. They both spear a security guard. They hit one of them with heart attack. They hit another security guard with a 3D.
That was sick.
And then Edge power bombs the shit out of the guy through the gift table.
Yeah,
it was basically like a last ride he gave him.
Yeah, that was sick. That dude took it like a champ. He did. He got him up so high. I loved the shout out finishers there. The heart attack.
That was pretty good.
That was sick. I really like this segment, man. I think you can't think of a different couple. They've really established themselves as two very different couples, and this is going to be a lot of fun here.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyways, let's go ahead and answer some questions. I've got a thread up here on the patreon.com/Stephen Larson. If you can't make the show live, you can always ask us a question there. First up, we've got let's see here. Dylan Haggett says, as it seems certain we're getting Roman versus Brock at Mania, what stipulation would you give their match to add a bit more excitement, considering all but one of their previous matches have been standard singles matches? I think the title versus title thing would be where I'd go, because that does raise the stakes.
It really does.
And this is, I mean, I think we can all agree, this is a completely different Brock versus Roman situation. It was the same situation, and it was obvious back in the day that they felt like they kept on getting it wrong and they were doing a bunch of do-overs. This doesn't feel like that at all.
No,
I mean, internally, maybe it is. Maybe internally they're like, oh, we can finally get it right now. But it doesn't, on the surface, it doesn't feel like that, because they're completely different characters at this point.
Yeah. And it feels like, from a creative standpoint, they're more self-assured, the company is, about where this is going. Opposed to... It's in a distinct direction, Yeah, Roman's going to win? No. He is? No. There's always this back and forth with, are they actually going to go, 100% with Roman as the guy? And now they are, and it's actually working.
Yeah.
Maggie here in chat says, I thought Dewdrop was amazing in the side-by-side with Becky. She showed she could hold her own on the mic and have personality. Sorry to Liv Morgan, but she just got pushed down a notch for me just because of the mic work. Dewdrop, since she's come in to the main roster, has done really well on the mic. Really well.
She has. Yeah. Somebody else in chat also said something like, Liv doesn't sound at all like she's going to win this thing. And it's like one out of every 5 promos actually sounds convincing from Liv Morgan.
And I think that's
really
the thing is, like, you could know your lines. You could even hit your beats, you know, your story beats for your promo. If you're not confident in what you're saying, it just doesn't come off as convincing.
I don't know what you need to do there. If she needs to be more, here's the thing: we don't know how these things are written. If she's just handed it and then she's got to go, or if she needs to work, if she needs to look at herself and say, "Look, when I get these scripts, I need to come up with some sort of like delivery method where it sounds convincing, because what she's using now just doesn't work." You know, she sort of just comes off as like let me talk to her manager.
And you know, like assuming they get the scripts just a matter of a few minutes before they have to do these things, doing cold readings is not an easy thing. This is something I say this often.
It's not.
It's something that actors go to specific classes to learn how to do for auditions. Is do cold readings. You get your sides, your script for the day, and you have to deliver performance that's good enough to convince a casting director to at least send you on to the next level of casting or get the job. You know, and that's not an easy thing to do.
It's not, but that being said, everybody in the company has to do it. I see Bianca going out there doing promos with Becky for 10, 15 minutes or whatever it is, and she nails it every single time. Rhea, tons of people do this. She needs to figure out.
I will say this: when Rhea got brought up to the main roster,
oh God, yeah.
I think from a character perspective, she had no idea what she was supposed to be doing, and that showed. It wasn't convincing because she didn't know her character. Now I feel like she knows her character, and it's much better now. And maybe this is a situation where Liv isn't quite sure what or who her character is yet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Let's see here. Wolfpack for Life says, what wrestler from another company could win the Rumble?
Nobody.
Or one that you would like to. He says, pretend it's a possible outcome. I mean, at this point, I feel like there's no way that she wins, but like it wouldn't be out of I would give Mickie James a 2% botch chance. You know, like what if she shows up and they're like, man, you've done really good work. We want to start rehiring some of these legends, you know, and they work out with some with Impact. It ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. But if any situation were to happen in a Forbidden Door winning the Rumble type situation, I don't see it going any other way than that. That's like the top of the list of possibilities. I don't know. That over like Jericho winning.
Yeah. Yeah. No one from outside the company is going to win.
Yeah.
Especially someone who's under contract with another company. Like, it's still unclear whether Mickie is on a long-term deal with Impact or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I see that happening more than like any AEW wrestler ever winning. I don't think any of it's going to happen, but
no, not at all.
Like, I would be like, oh wow, that's nuts. But if Jericho won, I would be like, did something go wrong? You know what I mean? There'd be like, there's a difference there.
That's the makeup for him losing to Sheamus that one year. He was probably supposed to win it. White Brownie, a lot has changed since I last asked this question, but now who are the final 4 for both Rumble matches? Who do we think are our final 4?
Naomi, Bianca, Charlotte, and Ronda.
Okay. That's good. Brock, Austin Theory.
Oh, wow. Big E.
Then Amos is in it, right?
Yeah, Amos is in it, yes.
Well, the final 2 are Brock and Amos.
Ooh. Was Amos even on TV? Amos wasn't even on TV this week, huh? I wonder how that's going to go down. You think everybody's going to do that, or is he going to get tricked into toppling over?
It's usually how it works.
Yeah. Let's see here. Moses opposes. From all the releases, who would you be most excited and least excited to see? I'd be least excited about Bray because I don't want to see him in the company. I want to see him do other cool. Apparently, he dropped another promo last night. Why is nobody talking about his video promos?
I know. That last one he did was really good.
Yeah, I know.
It shot really well.
Who would you most be excited to see?
Oh, probably Braun, because that's the one I expect. He's like such a perfect fit for WWE.
Yeah, they should never have gotten rid of him.
Least excited, Bray's a good answer.
You know who I'd be most excited to see, actually, now you mentioned Braun? EC3. That'd be kind of cool. He's like a completely different person now.
Yeah. I am Riff Machine. Can you guys see Roman winning the Rumble after losing the Universal title to Seth? No, because I think that's actually going to be the main event.
Let me ask you something. So we've talked about Brock winning the Rumble, going on to face Roman, regardless of what happens with the title. What does Seth, Kevin, Bob Lashley, and Big E do? Those are the guys that were in that match.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we get Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins versus RK Bro for the tag titles at WrestleMania. That wouldn't surprise me.
Okay.
As far as Lashley and Big E, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. You got to figure if Brock somehow, some way loses that title, then one of those four dudes or two of those four guys is going to be
the
champion. Or one of those four
if
guys.
The original plan coming out of day one was Seth as champion, then if Lashley wins at the Rumble, does he then defend an Elimination Chamber to have Seth win?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff.
If the idea was Seth and Big E at Mania for the WWE title, they still go around, find a way to get back to that match?
Man, I don't even know how you do that when you got Brock and Roman are fighting over the Universal title. Like that WWE title, whoever has it, it just feels like such a lesser title, you know? Because it's not going to main event night one.
Oh, I know. Diehard Homer, what match should main event on Saturday to make the outcome unpredictable? Should be the Men's Rumble. Men's Rumble main eventing will make it the most unpredictable.
There's a lot more moving parts to the men's situation. That's why it should main event. I
mean, if Ronda's going to be in the Women's Rumble, you could make the case for that main eventing too.
Yeah, you could. But given that we're talking Brock Roman right now, that's the A story. Like that's the Ronda, even Ronda Becky would be main eventing night one. It wouldn't main event night two. Blake Whitehouse, could Dolph Ziggler have a good world title run at this point in his career? It would take a lot. It would take a lot.
It would take basically a complete reinvention of his character, I think, at this juncture.
It would. I actually like Dolph. I like Dolph.
I
don't
do
really
too.
Care to
I think
see him on my
I
screen,
feel like
but
when I saw a lot of chatter on Twitter about this recently, when he was a sole Survivor Series years ago, when Sting showed up.
Yeah.
The fact they didn't capitalize on that.
Oh yeah,
then
he was huge at the time. Yeah,
kind of told me that they had really no plans to put him back up to the main event in a serious capacity, basically ever again. Because if you were going to do it, that was the time.
Yeah,
that was the time to do it.
Yeah, I agree. He had that great thing with Miz going on too. That one.
That was that was a great match. That was that match was here in Sacramento at No Mercy.
It was, yeah.
That was a really good match.
Let's see here. Oh wow, this is great. Xavier Gray says, I didn't watch Raw last night because I was too busy watching season 1 of the classic TV show VIP starring Pamela Anderson.
Oh yeah,
you remember VIP? Mm-hmm. I kind of do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that one. I never
hey,
really
let me ask you
this
real quick.
What?
We were watching, now that our friends over at Dark Side of the Ring had that show. Vice is all in on the Dark Side as a franchise. Mm-hmm. So there's like Dark Side, I think, of the NFL, or
football. I think, yeah.
There's also the Dark Side of the '90s. Yeah. They had one episode that was really great. It was like an overview of grunge, and they talked to the Sub Pop guys, right?
Oh,
it was really good. It's a really good hour-long thing. But then they also did Baywatch as an episode.
Yeah.
And you remember the thing about Baywatch is that it was always claimed that it was like the most watched show on the planet, right? Do you know anybody who actually watched Baywatch? Who actually would watch episodes of Baywatch? Like, we all knew about it.
Yeah, I don't.
Who the fuck was actually watching Baywatch?
I've never actually seen a full episode of Baywatch.
I've never seen a full episode, and I don't know anybody.
Yeah, I don't know anybody
who
either.
has.
I don't know.
I'm curious. I'm curious to chat if anybody here was like, "Oh yeah, I watched a ton."
Yes. Yeah, I've never seen a full episode before.
And I don't know anybody who did. Oh, let's see here. This is an interesting question here. Wayne asks, not Wayne Maker, Wayne Scoggins says, what if all of the released wrestlers show up in the Rumble?
That'd be pretty crazy.
That's like, is this like the 100-person Rumble?
Maybe, yeah.
That's like a massive Rumble. J-Ship, we'll end on this one. Do you think WWE main roster would benefit from a move to factions? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. I love factions. Factions are great. Jam on it says I watched Baywatch. Okay. Wow. Man from out west says my fiance has the entire series of Baywatch on DVD, but is it opened? Is it like, or is it still in the shrink wrap?
Rousey says I watch Baywatch weekly, and Baywatch Hawaii was the best.
Rousey says this?
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. All right. Anyways, we're going to get into this more on the post show. Thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.